If we really want to help our software businesses, what we actually need to do is to help the 2.7 million businesses in Australia buy. What do businesses really need? And what they really need is pretty much support on everything other than programming. I mean, programming is the bit that they can do really well. Modern world of AI, they can now shout at the screen. The coding isn't the problem, the commercialisation is the issue. It's an extraordinary world, and I get, 4 or 5 emails a week from UNSW founders saying, oh yeah, has anybody got a tech founder who can help me with this? I've got this idea, I want to build this, I want to do these things. It is just
Welcome to the Dev Ready podcast, where we're helping non-techs build great tech. Today, joined by an old friend, I'd say. We've been acquainted for a long while, Stewart. Lots of fun conversations along the journey, and he's been on the podcast once, if not twice, in the past.
2 or 3 times, I think, now.
Yeah, there's a few back there. Stuart Marshall, now founder and CEO of Software Australia, which is an initiative to build really a representation for software companies in Oz, and a place to go and be a part of and build network and connect. And Stuart will share a little bit more about what he's up to. But yeah, I find it quite fascinating as the industry grows in Oz, and will continue, given what's going on in technology. Something like Software Australia doesn't really exist at the moment. It'd be good to get some fresh ideas and concepts going on. So, Stuart, thanks again for coming on.
No, thank you very much for the invitation. Always my pleasure.
And let's go in straight in. What is Software Australia? Where did it come from? Why? Are you going down this path, really? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, now, okay. So short answer is it's an industry association. That's the simple answer. But that yeah, the long answer is a touch more complicated. So it comes from really an idea that I had about 2 years ago or so for this thing called SaaS Australia, which I thought, is a sort of portmanteau of Australia and SaaS. And I had this idea about helping software businesses. And of course, I recently released this book, which everybody should read, called Kick Some SaaS, which is all about the fine people I met who kept getting into the software industry and spending huge amounts of money, mortgaging the house, selling a child, renting a kidney and things like that, whatever they did. And then failing miserably and going back to work. So I kind of wrote a book about how to go from nothing to something in the software world. And so I got this idea, and I didn't really know what to do with it, what it was. And I was having dinner with Mrs. Marshall, who, of course, is ever the wizened one, and talking about it. And she said, it'd make a lot more sense if it was a not-for-profit. Like an industry association. Yes, love, like an industry association. Oh, right. That's a good idea. I know. Let's start an industry association because, I had nothing better to do with my day. So I thought I might start an industry association. And so I went off and got hold of my good friend and mentor, Dennis Tebbett, who's a wise old man of the industry and has been around a bit, and said, come on, Dennis, I need your help on this. And he begrudgingly accepted and is now chairman. And we sort of started from this standpoint of, well, what actually is there right now in terms of support and opportunity and advertising and all of the things that you'd want to help our software businesses go from nothing to something, actually get to market and commercialize and grow and become sustainable and all the good things. What we found is that whilst there's likes of the AIIA, the Information Industry Association, and various small ones like FinTech Australia, there's Medical Software Industry Association, and a variety of smaller groups, they typically behave in a typical industry association way, which is that you have these sort of, they're representative, they're lobbyists in some sense, and all of that is great, and I don't in any sense want to diminish the work they do because it's fantastic. But we looked at it and said, well, what do our businesses really need? And what they really need is pretty much support on everything other than programming. I mean, programming is the bit that they can do really well. And modern world of AI, they can now shout at the screen.
You'd hope so, yes.
They can shout at the screen and out comes a bucket load of code. So, the coding isn't the problem. The commercialisation is the issue. So that's where
which is always has been, really, when you look at it.
That's our focus is how do we help our businesses commercialise? And we went down this path and we said, okay, well, okay, how do we do this? What do we want to actually deliver? And really what it sort of boiled down to is what we really want to be is a news organisation.
That's different.
Well, it's part of it. A lot of it is going to be about how we raise awareness. And this was the flip side of what we were thinking in terms of helping software businesses, is if we really want to help our software businesses, what we actually need to do is to help the 2.7 million businesses in Australia buy. We need them to be able to support our industry. We need them getting out there looking for solutions to the problems they have that many, many vendors are now building and trying to sell. And so we see this industry really from two sides. The first is the people actually building the product that we're trying to sell, and the other is the many businesses that want to buy. So we've got this symbiotic relationship between the two. And so we started off looking at just the vendors, but now really we're looking at how do we build that bridge between the two? How do we build them a marketplace, let's say? How do we build them an opportunity for classified ads where they could do their advertising? And the interesting stat that came out of this is when I was doing some research on this was just how many times people search for software in Australia in any given month.
What numbers are we looking at here?
50,000 in Australia alone. And look, I mean, I got softwareaustralia.org for $25, which was the steal of the year as far as I was concerned. And being such a fantastic and brilliant entrepreneur as I am, I found it and then ignored it for a fortnight. That's, I'm
No rush there, yes.
Yeah. Desperately disappointing as an entrepreneur, but we're 50,000 searches a month in Australia, just for those two. And there'll be Software Australia Accounting, Software Australia, insert name here.
Yeah, specific to what they're looking for, right?
But we also have 20,000 odd searches a month coming from the US, something like that, 20,000 from Europe, 20,000 from India. So there is clearly an interest in what's going on over here. We're a growing economy, a growing market. We're clearly at the forefront of a lot of the tech sector. It doesn't necessarily appear that way on the surface because people don't look. But we're as many billion-dollar businesses per capita as the US, as many billion-dollar businesses as Germany in total. Our market and behaviour is largely comparable to everybody else's.
Yeah, I think probably people don't see that or realise that.
Well, we don't. As I want to say, we dig big holes and grow stuff. That's the Australian model.
Yeah, dig these holes. We're a resource company. Yeah.
But the reality, of course, is that we grew up on a sheep's back, and everybody's wearing wool, right? But in 1975, when we had 150 million sheep, that was probably accurate. But it's 2026 now, and the national flock is half the size, and everybody's wearing synthetic clothing. So this sort of lens of Australia as this old agrarian economy just is no longer accurate. But it's not what we hear, it's not what we talk about. And so very much part of what we're trying to do and what we want to achieve is to create a space where we can shout out extraordinarily loudly about the brilliant work that's going on and our brilliant tech founders. And not just them, of course. We want really to be able to advertise how we're adopting technology in business as well, which is the kind of thing that you guys are getting up to, of course. You're helping business deliver on the things they need.
Yeah, correct. And I think there's a lot of synergy in terms of what we've been trying to do from a podcasting sharing perspective. Kick Some SaaS, if you go back to that, that's the reason why we started the podcast. Same problem. Lots of founders came to us, blowing lots of capital on something that they really didn't eventuate. So we've got lots of those stories in the podcast. We also have a book coming out. Which is a little. This is the precursor to get there ready.
If you've got a book, Andy, you should wave it around on the screen at every opportunity.
Not many people have actually seen it because it's not available. It's just going through that final review, which layers in a lot of the podcast stories, client stories, and the journey from ideating right through to commercialisation. It's probably similarities across the books, I'd imagine, in terms of the angles and thinking. But yeah, same philosophy that we shared across the journey. How do we share stories, connect? I love the vision, I always have. It's probably evolved a little bit over time. The original was how do we just bring the community together, but I think it makes a lot of sense to how do you promote
In many senses, it's got out of hand, of course. My idea was this, I suppose, if you like, this sort of nice, gentle encounter group type idea, I suppose, quite a genteel thing. And then I got Dennis out of his armchair, and Dennis comes from the bigger end of town and said, no, this is what we're going to do, young man. And now we're engaging with government and we've just put in an application for lots of money for a grant and various and sundry things. But of course, so much of what we want to do is not about replacing anybody else. It's about unifying what's going on, because we have this industry out there. We have 9,300 businesses. That's recorded ABNs as at today. Something like $14 billion industry in Australia, 14 billion by the end of the decade, I think, something like that. And globally, software is forecast to be 1.5 trillion by 2035. And to put that in perspective, that's the size of the global steel industry today.
Yeah, that underpins all our construction.
By the way, it's growing at some 12 to 15%, depending on who you ask and where you look. But I mean, it's insane. It's a huge, huge industry, and is not going to get any smaller. AI is just turbocharging this, and
it is. It's just enabling more to come to the industry as well, and bringing probably people that wouldn't tread into it. So it is enabling more to start businesses and opportunities.
Well, this is the thing. A lot of the people that prompted me to write the book, which is, I mean, way back when now, all 4 years ago, when I finished writing it, they were people who at the time were taking huge amounts of money to try and get somewhere, and are now taking a couple of weeks to get somewhere.
It's a very different market.
I mean, the cost of ownership is another thing altogether, right? I mean, there's a conversation. That's a conversation on its own, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's good to spit up some stuff, and correct, yeah.
But to actually get an MVP, or to get something that looks a bit like a product,
to get something visual that you can show and gets feedback on is so much easier. I think if you're not engaging or skipping the way we used to do things, you're miles behind. So AI prototypes are much more effective ways to communicate, that's for sure.
The other thing is, and I'm looking at the grey in your beard, Andy, and the vast...
It's getting a little bit grey these days. It's
the vast profusion of grey in my hair. And I was out at a beer ops event. I don't know if you've come across the beer ops guys.
Oh, I haven't, no, yeah. What was that like?
They're an extraordinary group.
Sounds like a bit of fun.
Basically, what they do is they ply young tech people with booze, which is a magic way to get people in the room, right? And I went to a beer ops event, and there were 1,500 people in the room. It was extraordinary.
Oh wow! All right, that's a significant room, yeah.
And I was the old fella. This dawning realization that I am no longer representative of the industry in terms of the people that are taking part. Yeah, most of them are under 35. Yeah, when I was at WiseTech, something like 50% of all the developers at WiseTech had less than 5 years real world experience.
It's a young dynamic, and they get drawn to it.
It's an extraordinary world, and I get 4 or 5 emails a week from UNSW founders saying, has anybody got a tech founder who can help me with this? I've got this idea, I want to build this, I want to do these things. It is just exploding around us, and we need to get organized, and we need to give it a voice. And somebody asked me the other day, so, are you going to represent us? And I'm like, well, no, it's not. It's not about me representing you or Software Australia representing you. It's about giving you a place to add your voice. I don't want to be a lobby group. That's not my role.
Yeah, it's not that. It's not the angle, right? So it's
my role here is to build a community and to give you a place in which you can do that.
I think we had this chat too when you first came to me and started raising the concept of Software Australia. We've been in business and software 18 years, we clocked over this year. I've never been a part of any industry association or joined anything, which is fascinating. And I don't know if they market very well or position very well to people like us. I don't see a huge amount of value from those areas, but that was my experience. So how do you be different is probably the question.
Well, one of the things we're going to do, and there's a certain amount of serendipity has gone on with all of this. Having sort of decided that this is what we're going to do, I'm acutely aware that I want to build an environment. So of course it must be an online business. I don't want to be an events business in that classic physical location. I mean, I'm sure we will have events, of course. But I don't want to have a physical location. I don't want to have an expensive office in Barangaroo like the ACS has got or anything of that nature. We want to have this community where the world is easy access. So that lends itself to this idea of an online platform, all of which is great, but I've got to make one.
Yeah, you got to build one now.
I've got to make one, or I've got to buy one, or I've got to somehow put this thing together. And it's easy to say, well, I'll just vibe code myself one.
That's an angle.
Which I could, I'm sure.
We've got a few vibe coders kicking around in the Aerion world that we're helping finish stuff these days.
We're back to the cost of ownership problem and found the complications of ownership. So I really don't want that.
Yep.
But as luck would have it, I had a job ad pop up on LinkedIn, and it said, you'd be a good fit for senior project manager at Bond Software. Like, okay.
Who's Bond Software?
Great. Yeah, I'm sure I could be a senior project manager. I have some experience in the space. I would know what I'm doing, I think. I don't want to be a senior project manager at Bond Software, but more to the point, who the hell are Bond Software? And so I looked at Bond Software, and by sheer good fortune, Bond Software is Australia's premier provider of platform for member associations.
That works quite well.
And I thought to myself,
maybe that's why you got thrown into bonds.
I should go and have a chat with these fine people at Bond Software and find out how much their platform is and what it does and so on. And so I went and got a hold of Dave Hickling, who's the CEO, and said, look, Dave, I'm building a member association. Tell me about your platform. And so he did, and he showed me this thing. And it's spectacular. It's everything you could possibly want for a member association, which includes an app. So it's online, in your face, news, marketplace, classifieds, blah, blah, anything and everything.
Just everything you need.
And Dave says, well, there you go. I'm like, how much is it? And he told me, and I said, well, okay. I haven't got the money right now, but we're going to work. Money's a solvable problem, right? With a good idea of this nature, you can go and get money. That isn't a concern. But I'm very interested. Dave said, what are you making? So I told him, Software Australia, and he said, I wanted to give back to the industry. How about we partner? And I said, well, let me see now, David. Thank you very much. I believe the answer is yes.
Helps get to move it along quite effectively. Money's no object now.
And he said, only one problem. Go on. What's the one problem? Well, the one problem is we're building a new full SaaS variant. Don't want to invest my time building you another white label one. Can you wait until the SaaS variant is ready to go? To which I said, sure. If it's a partnership that depends on that, then absolutely, of course I can wait. So we're now essentially beavering away in the background, putting together everything that we think we need, slowly but surely. We've got a fantastic board, myself and Dennis, and 4 absolutely stellar contributors. We're lining up a senior advisory panel, which we're getting from all over through government and small business. We've got women in tech and so on. Various different sort of vertical ideas that we're beginning to put together. And I'm perilously close to getting a live platform from Dave in the not too distant future, in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So it's very exciting times. But what it will mean is that what we typically see from industry associations is that they're arm's reach, that you go along once a month to a nice event.
Yeah, they are a little bit. That's true. Yeah, they are. And that's probably what makes it difficult to engage sometimes when you're in business too.
Engagement is the problem, right? So my lens on this is, well, it's the modern world. It's 2026. Why are we not all over every single social media platform we can imagine? Mm-hmm. And if the industry and the people in the industry are predominantly 45 under, 35 and under probably.
Definitely all over your socials, that's for sure.
Then I need to be all over TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, X if I must. And we need to be taking the notion of an industry association out to everyday, in your face social media activity so that engagement is just there in the palm of your hand all day, every day. And it's a little button, a little badge on the top corner of your icon that says there's 10 things to have a read about.
Yeah, and that news angle makes a lot of sense in terms of what's going on, what people are working on in the space. I think it's always interesting. Opens up collaboration components. There's a bit to that rather than just the go across to a certain event and pop in every year or two, because that's likely what happens with most people.
Well, that's right. And the collaboration's a really important point. And this is one of my co-founder Dennis's ideas from many years ago, what he refers to as the innovation bridge, which is this idea that there are software businesses and businesses in Australia that are doing things in their particular vertical, solving a particular problem, but that problem may actually be relevant in other places.
Generally is. It's just they haven't got all the depth or breadth to get it into other places.
Yeah, how do we build that bridge between them? How do we allow somebody in another space, somebody on the other side of the river, who can see something going to actually get across? How do we help that? So that's very much part of our idea with regards to a marketplace and this idea of classified ads, that people can come along and say, well, this is what we're doing. It's not about selling product, it's about selling the idea and the idea of collaboration and partnership and how we bring everything together and be greater than the sum of the parts, as it were.
In terms of members coming on board, when are you ready for that? When are you really marketing out to software companies that are in the space? Have you started that process?
So I'm a rose-tinted glasses wearing founder, right? I mean, the world's going to be fantastic. And as we were talking before, I'm going that way, and I'm hoping in the not too distant future I'm going to look behind me and there's going to be a whole bunch of people. But I'm hoping that I'm genuinely hoping that we'll have an offer and a live platform within the next sort of 4 or 5 weeks. It may be 6, it may be 8, it may be 12, and it doesn't really matter. What I need to do is keep banging the drum and getting awareness. And we already have 1,000 followers on LinkedIn. In fact, 1,100, I think, now.
Yeah, it's a really good start, definitely.
Which is a great start considering that we don't actually exist.
Yeah, there's a website if anyone wants to check it out, softwareaustralia.org.
Yeah, softwareaustralia.org. I had a fantastic background set up with my little QR code in the top right corner and everything, but I can't do that here.
We'll share it out, though, probably. We'll get people to engage with that. Pretty much every one of our guests would want to probably have a look and check it out. That's for sure. Everyone's a part of software in some capacity, and the listeners.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping the next few weeks, and my interest is bums on seats here. I don't want to try and rape everyone for a bunch of money. This is a not-for-profit organisation. This is all a bunch of volunteers at the minute. It's our money that's running this and putting it together. I'm optimistic that I might get fed for doing this at some point, but I mean, right now,
that's still people have to get fed to make it really work. So the reality is, it
would be quite nice. But our goal really is how do from a very sort of a crass, simplistic point of view, is how do we help people get to market faster, better, and cheaper? So we're going to provide expert information on Andy's top 5 tips on going to market. That sort of idea. Top 5 tips on legal requirements, HR.
And there's many to consider. It's not just about the tech. That's probably the biggest mistake a lot of these companies make. Tech's one, just the delivery.
The whole point of this is to be extraordinarily affordable to be a member. So I think we've got students at $50.
Yeah, just get people in.
Annual membership for any professional is $100, I think. And if you're a less than 10 people business, you can have a business membership, and that gets all of your team on board for $500.
Yeah, that's a way to get people into the ecosystem, and there's lots of businesses.
I'm interested in getting people in and community and starting to get conversation going and starting to get people exchanging ideas and whatever people want to do. Really, we're going to provide a sandpit for everybody to come play in.
Well, it's exciting, and I'll probably ask a question around if someone's listening. What's the difference to something like Software Australia to joining a startup community, for example, or an accelerator? Or what's the difference you're seeing there in terms of how this might come together from them to experience and be a part of?
In simple terms, I suppose we have a much broader lens on what we're delivering. typical. There's not startup communities are fantastic things. They're brilliant.
Yeah, they can be great for the early stage. Yes.
The problem we've got is that there are thousands of them or hundreds of them,
There are.
and they're dotted around Australia.
They're very disconnected too. That's the reality.
This is exactly the point. We have lots of accelerators, lots of incubators, and they're typically, again, they're typically fairly sort of small. And we want to be that umbrella organization that says, if you're looking for a startup incubator, go over there. If you're looking for some podcast stuff about developing software, here's the Aerion Technologies Dev Ready podcast. All we're trying to do really is to bring everybody together. And so we're a meta organization, if you like.
Build that community and just connect and make it easier for people to probably maneuver their way through the industry and find ways to connect and evolve. And it's like in any business, people get stuck. They get to their edge, and you're always at your edge. That's the reality in business. You don't really know what's next. So just getting those answers early on is critical to the next step.
And not even the answers, funnily enough. One of the things I typically sort of say to people is that we're not necessarily going to be about providing answers. We're really going to be about actually providing questions.
Yeah.
Some of the questions you need to start asking, and we will hopefully be able to point you to places where there will be an answer. But we're not going to be a training company because there's a million training courses. I'm not. Another one isn't going to help.
Oh, there's plenty of those. Yeah, anywhere online you can find whatever you need in the space. That's for sure.
But where do you go for authority? Where do you go to find the people that will give you an answer, that will give you the right answer, or as close to the right answer as you can be? That's the kind of idea and the level we want to exist at.
That's probably a bit beyond just startup, right? So it also, how do you connect some of the bigger software companies to this and their pathways for people that want to break into the industry? So there's a bit more than just startup ecosystems for sure.
No, startups are a portion of what we do. But as you say, we have many software businesses that have been around now for a decade or so at least. They're 50, 100, 200 people. They still exist in isolation. The CEO still exists largely in isolation with his management team to help him or her. And it's one of the great problems. I had a chat with someone the other day, and she was saying, it's a lonely business being CEO and being a founder.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah.
And you would know, right? You've had Anthony on your side all the time, but it's even so, it's still it's a scary little world out there, and it's nice to have a place to go where you can meet.
Like I said, you're always at your edge. You don't really know what's next. There's always something thrown at you. There's a challenge, and then if you can, it's the ability to be able to shift, morph, change thinking is important in any business, and to adjust and adapt, because we're always adapting, and if you're not, you're really going backwards. And AI's then taught us all where we have to adapt even faster than we have in the past, and just really dig in and look at the angles and understand, all right, the world's changed, technology's changed, it's shifted, the way we deliver shifted, but we still need to add value at the other end. And that's where your commercialisation comes in. How do we add value? How do we communicate market position? Understand what the market needs, because that's shifting to what the market really needs. So, there's...
Well, while we're on the subject of adding value, of course, one of the things that we want to do is to make sure that people get good value for the money they invest in becoming a Software Australia member. And of course, it's great to think, I'll go along to some event, I'll shake some hands, I'll get a slap on the back from people that appreciate the problem I've got, and all of the nice touchy-feely stuff, which is lovely. But fundamentally, you want to make $1 out of it, right? You want to pay a membership and get some value.
Oh, that's... In the end, everyone's trying to create some value and connect and grow what they're doing and impact more people. That's the reality.
We've got a couple of 3 partnerships lined up already. First is a friend of mine who runs a recruitment firm. So if you're paying recruiters to go and get you tech resources, you should come and join Software Australia, because you can get 25% off one now.
Yeah, that's a handy recruitment opportunity for people.
If you're a mid-sized business, and I think membership would be about $2,500 or something like that, not much at all, that all your team are getting membership and you're getting 25% off your next recruitment model. But we're also partnering with Dell. This is my big ticket one. And Dell are giving us 10% across the board on all hardware.
Yeah, that's a nice ticket for people just to give value, and there's value already, just to join and pay for the membership.
Yeah. So that's anything from a $500 laptop to a $100,000 server. And it's 10% is 10%. I think 15% off XPS or something as well. I think the particular range they've got. So
Yeah, okay, that's the laptop range here. Yeah, I believe so.
I'm a big Dell fan. I've been a Dell user for 30 years. So.
Oh, I've got a Dell in front of me over here. Always have. Yeah, they're very reliable, I've noticed.
Majorly because I like the support, funnily enough. So.
I went and brought a different brand. I think it was a Toshiba, and it lasted a year, which was
only the one. You only do it once.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, I mean that's really what we're trying to do, is to say, how do we give this industry a boost? How do we give it all the help, raise awareness, help people buy Australian? Because I mean, all things American are a tiny bit on the nose at the moment.
They are a touch.
How do we buy Australian? How do we use Australian software to solve Australian problems? I mean, nobody else is going to. Americans aren't going to solve our problems for us. And there's brilliant organisations about. There's a fabulous lady by the name of Mona Chia, who is building a company called Juris Techni, which is a local AI. They're building their own AI model to do, and I don't wish to undersell what Mona's doing because it's utterly brilliant. It is to interpret compensation claims to see whether you've got a case.
Okay, so it's in the legal space.
And it's designed for legal firms to help them cut their discovery costs.
Yeah, there's so many opportunities to.
It's that kind of thing. But that's a great example because it is a very, very Australian problem. It is specific to Australian legislation, Australian experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody else in the world is going to build that.
No, it has to come from Australia first. Yes, I agree.
And we have so many solutions in the space where people are already dealing with Australian things. Even a shining example of one of our large financial institutions that bought a package from the US, which, of course, because it was a US product, had no concept of GST in it.
Fair. Yeah, it wouldn't.
So, which, not unsurprising, but of course they now have to employ a whole bunch of people, typically offshore, I believe, to do all the processing to work out the GST implications of the data that's being produced from this package. Yeah, so these are the real problems that are going on in Australia that people are out there solving, and we need to get it out there.
Oh, we have our own industries, our own ways of working, and there's always opportunity. There's always a problem to solve if you really to look. Industry specific is always a good way to approach it, because our industries do operate differently to other parts of the world. And generally, if you want to take something offshore from Australia, you're going to have to customize. So it goes both ways, really, when you're coming into Oz to work with. Yeah, and software is a very how would I put it? A space where you want to be able to reach out and communicate to the teams that are working. And I think we had this chat before on past podcasts. Software with the service makes a lot more sense, or software with support is needed. And I think the holy grail that people are striving for in this space is I build a tech product, I put it up on the web and people just buy it and I do nothing and I sit back and I collect the cash, and that's what a lot of
stories are plenty, right? Oh, I vibe coded an app and now it's maybe $100,000 a month. Well, good for you. All right, yeah, fine. There's always one, right?
There's always a one, yeah. But the reality is we need to really know our clients, get to know them, understand them.
Yeah, deliver a service.
To build a great product. Yeah, we have to.
Software and a service, not software as a service.
Correct. And if we've mentioned this in the past, yeah, it does. And it's important that and being close to our customers is critical to be able to do
that. I've written a book about that, Andy.
Yeah. Brilliant. Kick Some SaaS. I'm sure it's on Amazon. We'll get the guys. We'll put the links out.
And I'm pleased that you've got 300 podcasts, because I can now put a bunch of them on my Software Australia website and say,
oh, there's plenty there. There's plenty of angles.
Here's some great content.
Yeah.
I've already got 300 podcast episodes I can offer.
I think you should be starting a Software Australia podcast. I'm sure that'll be.
Look, I mean, part of what we want to do, part of the grant we just applied for, which I don't think we're going to be successful with, sadly, but is essentially the news model, which is how do we how do we deliver news? Well, it's not just news about somebody says, "Oh, I've got this new package out," or whatever it might be, or what do the CGT changes mean? It's all of the content, everything that we can do that's educational, informational. Yeah, so I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time on camera.
Ticker TV angle, potentially?
Not
Not
quite.
quite there, but I know, like,
But I mean, I can see a future where perhaps there is some crossover. I mean, what I suppose
could be a segment or on
the
there. Could be an
well, the
option
only
to.
difference, Andy, is you and I are recording this privately, but if we'd done it as a LinkedIn event, we could be doing it with an audience of 50.
It could, yeah, correct.
And what's the difference? And that's really the point with regards to journalism today, which is journalism used to be you were a proper journalist, you worked for a newspaper and so on, but journalism is anyone with a camera.
Yeah, it's all changed now. Correct.
I've
Yeah.
got a camera, got a mic, I'm going to go chat to some people. This is journalism, strictly speaking, in the modern world. And so, yeah, I'm going to be spending time on camera. What we're really going to be doing, though, is finding some young, shiny people to put on camera.
Yeah, I get that. I think the market you're after, the 30, 40-year-olds, yeah.
I mean, there is value for our younger generation to see the wizened old heads, I suppose. But I don't think I'm a draw card. So I think I'm fairly comfortable in that assertion.
Yeah, I like it. The accent helps. I think it'd be good on a podcast.
Oh, well, I mean, I like to think I can speak reasonably eloquently.
Yeah,
Went
you
to
do
the
quite
same
well.
school as Shakespeare. Not at the same time. I should like to point out, but no, we need we need front people from the younger generation because they are so much
Variety's
more
needed. I agree.
accessible and so much more. I can't think of the right word, but they're the
Approachable,
right
maybe,
people to
for
be
the,
out
who
front.
you're targeting. Yes.
Yeah, so and particularly, I mean, we're very interested in finding young women professionals
Definitely.
to put out front. One thing our industry desperately needs is to deal with the horrific.
It's very skewed to a male-dominated industry. Yeah, it is.
We desperately need to deal with the horrific attrition rate for all the young women that enter STEM and into the tech world, that come in for 4 or 5. I forget what the number is, but it's horrific. So, 30% attrition within the first 5 years, which is awful.
Terrible, yeah. Not good. Thank you. Yeah, we need different perspectives. It's important. We need to keep different angles and the perspectives in the industry because it becomes, too male-dominated is not ideal.
Yeah, Joe Burston, who runs Inspiring Rare Birds and has been helping female entrepreneurs, has this wonderful phrase, which is "You can't be what you can't see." Now, I don't necessarily agree with it as such, but I get the sentiment of what she's on
I get
about.
the sentiment. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, which is, what we need are great female role models. We need them out there. We need to put them in a spotlight.
Yeah, it does. It does help, of course.
It surely can't do any harm.
Yeah, I agree.
So well, that's we have this sort of grandiose vision of taking the industry and making it visible, on a national stage. And we put a submission in for the I've forgotten what it's called now, but it was the innovation thingy. Oh, I'm so middle aged. No, it's more the harder I try on that word, it's going to.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it was a government thing. They were looking for feedback on the innovation space and what one should be doing. One of our recommendations was we need a new national narrative. We need to change what we talk about. We've got a manufacturing fund.
Not much manufacturing happening.
We don't do some. I mean, we still have a decent manufacturing industry, but it's not what it was, of course.
It's so different.
And I don't think we ever will be again because our country's changed, the economy's changed. But we need to be talking about the digital world. We need to get this, other than, AI is going to take all our jobs. I mean, we need to get rid of that conversation as well because it's not.
It's another tool that we have in the toolkit.
Another tool in the toolkit, exactly right. We need this new perspective where we say, well, actually, a modern Australia is a digital Australia, and it fundamentally is. if computers stopped working tomorrow, every single one of our businesses pretty much would fail.
Everything shuts. Everything stops. Even our Netflix disappears.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
I mean, horrific. I don't know. That's horrible about YouTube and Netflix.
What are we going to do with the kids?
Yeah. Oh, crap. They have to play board games and stuff. It'd be awful. But we need. I think it's really important that we advance this conversation about a digital Australia, because it is fundamental to absolutely every single business.
Oh, we are in a digital world right now. That's exactly where we sit. It's no longer.
Yeah, every small shop on the high street now has a payment thing that isn't a classic box that the bank provided. It's just a scanner next to an iPhone or a tablet or whatever it might be. We are utterly dependent now on our tech, and it transcends industry vertical. It's absolutely everywhere. And I had great difficulty writing my initial pitch deck for Software Australia because I kept thinking of it in terms of a vertical.
It's not a vertical.
And I couldn't make sense of it until I suddenly thought, actually, no, software is a horizontal niche. It transcends everything we do.
I wrote an article a long time ago around how technology is. So in business, we've had operations people and technology in silos, but collectively we need to work together. And they do work together and they do support each other. And the reality is it's now all morphed into one where operations technology people collectively work on a path to deliver outcomes. It's all changed. So yeah, it is horizontal. It's not vertical. I don't see it as that at all.
I'm going back to, really what we were talking about before, that this is now something that is just so fundamental to our existence and it's a hugely growing industry, and the technology and software industry will overtake steel within about 10 years.
It's exciting times ahead for and it's a new dawn, new industry. AI is giving a perk. I think we'll sort of before the AI piece, we were sort of struggling. I think we were going a little bit sideways for a bit after COVID, and we had a bit of an uplift because everyone worked from home. We saw a bit of a major dip, and the industry did pre the dawn of the AI launch, and that's just shifted the industry into a new trajectory, really. So yeah, it will continue to grow, continue to evolve, and change, and that's the way the industry always will be.
So a hot take while we're here, Andy.
Yeah.
Is AI going to kill off all developers?
Kill them off.
No developers, AI. All developers will be gone. It will just be AI in a few years' time. Right?
It's changing. I can say that. Let's put it that way. We will still have guidance and people working with the technology as a tool, but the industry will change. And I think, there may not be as many people in it in terms of delivery, but it goes a bit in two fronts. I think we're going to be able to do more. And deliver more. And we used to talk cost of ownership and things. That's going to shrink. So I'd see a world where everyone can produce their own back to custom software away from SaaS potentially. That really meets their need and allows them to deliver in a niche way and things at a lot lower cost point. So it will change and evolve, I reckon.
It will, won't it? It's undoubtedly changing. It's of course. I'm looking at it from the frightened old man shadow IT disaster area, just waiting to happen.
Could be, yeah.
We're going to have Sheila from accounts is going to vibe code God knows what. And a bucket.
There's a possibility of that occurring, and it is happening now. It's happening already. Yeah.
Or Bob from the warehouse is going to be telling people God knows what over the internet, courtesy of some software that he's just developed. Yeah, I've no idea what's going to happen.
We're already seeing it, so that's the reality. We're already seeing it. People in business are doing it, and then they're getting a little fearful of the risk as soon as they do it as well, because they really got blinkers on when they're doing this sort of stuff.
This is why, Andy, we need an organisation that brings all these things together and gives a good conversation point.
Well, there's plenty of conversation around it, and I think no one's got the answers right now, but yet the one advantage we do have is if you look at the developer side, generally the product domain knowledge, domain expertise has been the one driving the innovation, especially when it's domain-specific technology. that's shifting where the ability to deliver comes from. We're still going to need good quality people on the other end from a QA support security angle, but I think the jobs will shift, and they are shifting. That's the truth of it.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely, absolutely. And I've argued this for many years, which is that we get our best results when we get just the right amount of technology with well-trained, educated people who are experts in their domain. Get that, we still need, it still needs hand-holding.
I'll take it back to something simplistic. I can paint a wall, but do I still hire a painter? It's a massive industry. So I think it will evolve and change, but we still want some credible people around us to make sure we do it.
I don't paint walls.
Yeah.
No,
You can do it, but do we? Yeah, there's a massive industry behind it. So I think, the industry will shift and morph, but there'll be people that will be able to jump in and do stuff on their own because they're willing to just jump in, and that's a good thing. And I think that's a great thing for people to be able to deliver some outcomes on their own accord, and then probably get some support across the journey.
Well, it's brilliant. I'm doing some work with a lady in WA. Oddly, nothing to do with technology. It's a health device.
That's tech, isn't it? Or is it just?
Oh, yeah. No, although in this one, there's not a piece of tech in sight. This is purely non. There's nothing electronic in this at all. But she was off to an event recently and decided that she was going to vibe code herself a card scanning tool.
Yeah, well, it's
So just knocked herself.
tools, easier to vibe code. They're the ones that are
Yeah.
good, quick wins and
The
achievable.
idea that you can just build this thing for you is fantastic. Yeah, but everybody's a software business suddenly.
One thing I've noticed is there's an advantage for people like us, is it's opened up people's imagination a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's opened up the possibility for people a lot more, which has opened up different people that we're working with now and supporting and looking at different angles and models and how we support people that are in a position of vibe coding something that are maybe pushing further into shit. How do I really do this properly? So yeah, the possibilities are endless now from that end. Little tools, we're seeing a lot more of that, but they still need people like us at this moment to pick up the pieces and just get it to some sort of commercially viable, secure system. So, and the bigger it gets, the harder it gets. That's the reality. So, yeah, that's like anything.
Yeah, and there was some headlines, I guess, not so long back, and certainly some fear in the markets that you could use AI and magically instantly reproduce some, let's say WiseTech as a case, as an example, you could suddenly reproduce.
Yeah, reproduce a Salesforce or WiseTech. Yeah,
Yeah, you could reproduce this global
try to operate that.
peer end-to-end shipping customs to customs platform. Just knock one out, right? And a little, we'll put a 3PL wrapper around it and so on.
Off you go.
That you just do that, in a couple of weeks vibe coding. And of course, the reality is that that's not what's happening.
No, it's not at all.
It's far harder. And commercialization, of course, back to where we started the conversation.
There's no difference. Commercialization is still a problem.
It's really, really hard.
It's better you got a tool, you still got to get it out.
You got to get it there. You got to support it. You got to implement it. You got to, the whole.
And one of the
gamut
biggest
still
challenges
stands.
in why Get Dev Ready the book exists is people jump in way too early, and vibe coding enables people to jump in way too early, build some stuff. And if you want to pivot off the back of a vibe coded app, you just end up with a bit of a mess going on. So if you start pivoting with what's there, you're in the same position. We built too early. You haven't really discovered. You haven't done any of those things up front. The bigger the product gets, the harder it gets. It's like that's the real reality that exists now.
And I mean, I describe it as it's like a wheel, a spoked wheel. If you've got a small wheel, 4 or 5 spokes is just fine. The bigger the wheel gets, the more spokes you need, the bigger the gaps between each of the spokes as you get bigger and bigger and bigger. It just becomes something ultimately that needs people. And we're seeing this again as well with a lot of the businesses that dump the customer service reps and said, "Oh, we can do this with an agent."
How's that going for them?
Yeah, not well. Turns out people don't like to talk to computers that much.
No, I wouldn't imagine that. I'd like to teach. I think people have got to put their own hat on and just think about, if I've got a problem or a challenge, do I want to talk to a computer or do I want a real human on the other end? And it's just a real common sense answer there. Yeah.
Not to say that a computer can't help you and help triage a lot of the calls and whatever it might be, but fundamentally, people want to talk to a human because a human deals with nuance so much better than a computer does.
Yeah, correct. And we just want to feel like we're loved a little bit too.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Well, of course, sycophantic AI system is there's only so much of that you can cope with. It said, "You're having a great time, sir. We love you." Yeah, it's like,
Yeah,
no
it's
thanks.
Stuart, been a pleasure as always. We can talk forever. I suggest you come back on when you launch Software Australia. Let's do that. Let's reconnect, do a bit of a launch episode. Let me know timing so we can do something specific just for the launch. And yeah, I'm excited about what you're up to. I think the industry needs something for sure. That's just it will morph and evolve as you learn, and I think that's the advantage you have starting today, whereas an old industry association that's been around for 30, 40 years is probably difficult to morph and change the way they do things. That's the
They have constitutions,
yes,
and
that's,
constitutions are largely designed to stop businesses changing too much.
yeah, which is not a world you want to be in when you're working in the technology industry. Let's put it that way. No, no. Change is inevitable, and it happens every day. That's the world we're seeing. Yeah.
No, magic. Thanks for your time, Andrew.
No, thank you. And if anyone wants to check out what Stuart's up to and team, go to softwareaustralia.org.
Australia.org.
Beautiful, Stuart. No, thanks, mate. Really appreciate your time.
Magic. Thanks, Andy.